Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome back once again. Today we're going to be taking a look at another new knife from Dan Sullivan over at DSK Tactical. Now, if you go back a few years, I want to say about 4 years now, on my YouTube channel, you'll see the custom that Dan made for me back then. This was the prototype for his Diamondback version 2, the Diamondback V2. I still have it, I still love it, I still carry it all the time. It's handled everything that I've thrown at it, and it's still, to this day, one of my absolute favorite knives. But today we're going to take a look at something that his customers have been clamoring for quite a long time, and that is a production version of one of his folder designs. Now, Dan has gone repeatedly through the years with closing his books because of his popularity. He has quite a huge fan club, and he got to the point where he just couldn't take any more orders. He would catch up, and then he would open up his books for a short amount of time, usually about an hour or two. And then he would punch through that, and then he keeps trying to do that. So if you're a fan of Dan's, you're a fan of his designs, and you want a custom made by him, what you should be doing is following him on Instagram, because that's where he will make the announcements. Okay, on Saturday I'm going to open my books up until they fill back up, so check back then. And that's how he does it. So it's not completely impossible to get a knife made by Dan, but it is very challenging, and there is quite a bit of a wait. But then again, that's the way it is with all good makers. So without any further ado, let's get into the VX-P. These are $425. They're available through his website directly at DSKTactical.com. You're looking at 8 1/4 inches overall length and a 3 1/4 inch blade. It plays a little more, honestly. Here's a 3 1/2 inch blade. It really plays off to be about the same length, but obviously much taller and beefier. Basically, while the VX-P is compact at that 3 1/4 inch blade, it's still a fistful of fuck you and feels substantial enough to punch through a damn car hood. And that's one of the interesting things about this knife, is once you put it in your hand, yes, it is small. You can feel the small handle. You can see the small blade. But the height of the blade, the 160 thou thickness of the blade stock, really you feel something massive in your hands, but it's not overpowering. It's not a very heavy knife. It's not overly ridiculously overbuilt, as we see in many of the overbuilt style knives that are still very popular today. So you've got the feel of something very lightweight for what it is, fairly compact, but when you flip that blade out, it becomes something so much more substantial. You've got 6AL4V titanium frame lock with ceramic bearings, a ceramic detent, titanium backspacer, and all of the hardware being used is going to be titanium as well. Really, if you want to get down to it, even though it is a frame lock, the way that he's made this with the carbon fiber scales, it is a bolster lock, even though this would be rather long for a bolster. That is more or less the way it's built, because the scale is still supporting the lock. Normally you would see it cut away up here, the scale would be up here, and it would be forming the over travel. Not necessary, because there is a steel over travel built into the frame lock itself, but that's the way I would classify it. Okay, if you're wondering what VX-P stands for, V is for Veloce, which stands for Swift. X is it's actually XAOS, which stands for Chaos, and the P is to designate that this is a production knife. Now, as I mentioned before, it's based on Dan's first folding design, and he wanted to offer a more budget-friendly production knife. Number one, to keep people satisfied with a lower price point than his customs, and number two, for people that could not wait for him to open up his books, or if they were on his books, to wait a few months for their knife. So it was something that he wanted to do to satisfy as many people as possible. And after pricing out every USA OEM manufacturer, he realized that going US made would price him out of reach. He'd basically be offering a production knife at the price of many good quality custom knives. So why even bother at that point? If you're going to go out there at $550, $600, well, now you're competing with some pretty damn good custom knives and some really, really good mid-tech knives. So it's kind of hard to justify that. And he was frustrated enough to kind of give up on doing a production project as a result of that. But his customers were repeatedly asking him to please make a sub $450 folder. So he went to We Knives, and once he felt the prototype that they made for him, he realized that they were kind of a perfect match. We Knives is known for a balance of quality and lower cost, and that's what made sense for his customers. Now, Dan has since struck a deal with EOS, Elite Outfitting Solutions, for those of you that don't know John and his company, to produce future knives for him in the United States. So basically, the funds from the sales of this VXP, of the We Knives produced VXP, has funded his US-made future ventures. So that's exciting for everybody all the way around. You're getting a badass, really high-quality knife here from the We Knife production, and everybody that's bought one of these has basically put money into a jar for him to start making in the United States via EOS. So I think it's kind of a wonderful marriage. Let's take a nice close-up look at this. And you'll see this modified Wharncliffe blade. And everybody wants to use the term butcher or butcher style. It doesn't look anything like a butcher knife. But if you want to call it that, sure. But it's a modified Wharncliffe. This front bevel on here is just sexy as shit. I love that additional touch that's put on there. They ground these knives really, really well. Ground it very, very thin. It's got a super sharp edge. I love the stylized fuller, the way it just kind of comes to a point because of the way this has been beveled after they've done the fuller. The jimping is insane. I mean, it is strong, grippy, ridiculous jimping. So if you're a jimping fan, you're going to love this. You also have a thumb recess right up here that's smooth that you can drop your thumb into if you're doing some more fine cutting tasks. You've got, let's see right back here, the really nice jimping on the flipper tab. So on the face of that tab, it's very easy to hit that. Your finger's not going to slip off. It's a little bit of a large flipper tab. Some people may like or dislike that. I'm more of a small flipper tab kind of person, but this made sense for this size of blade. It is a very, very large blade that's swinging out of here, so probably was the best way to go. Getting into the pivot here. See if we can get this to focus. There we go. Nice, clean finish work. Bead blasted, then stone washed on the titanium. Carbon fiber looks great. Nearly seamless integration. There's your gear patterned titanium backspacer. Provides a lot of grip. They left the edges on these so it really grips into your hand. All titanium hardware, titanium pocket clip. Works perfectly. I've never had an issue carrying this knife, getting it in or out of the pocket. There is your lockup. It's early, but it's not precariously early where you're worried that this thing's going to fold up on your hand. Nice smooth action, good strong detent without being ridiculous. Sucks it in nicely. And you're looking at that going, Jesus, man, that thing's fucking wide. Is that going to fit in my pocket? Absolutely. I've worn this even with cargo shorts. So I've worn it with jeans, with shorts. It's been no burden whatsoever, but I'm also the kind of person that never puts anything in my knife pocket, regardless of the size or whatever knife I'm carrying. I don't put my car keys in there. I don't put any coins or anything in that pocket. My right-hand pocket is reserved solely for my knives, period. And when you get into carrying more expensive knives, you tend to do that because no matter how much you may use your knife, you don't really want to needlessly abuse it. So you're not going to want a bunch of coins and shit scraping up against a significantly priced knife. So my right hand pocket stays clear. So it's never bothered me. The size of it is great. And again, it's very, very lightweight for as big and beefy as it looks. It's actually really, really easy to carry. For those that don't know Dan Sullivan is his name. He's a native of Arizona, born and raised, loving father to his girls, newly remarried to a phenomenal girl, which has helped him, quite honestly, she's helped him become newly refocused. And his business is growing faster than it ever has before, and he's working harder thinking and designing and bringing out new models. As a matter of fact, at the time of this recording, he's designing a couple of brand new fixed blade models, which is also pretty exciting as well. Dan's a former Marine and took up knife making after he left the Corps, and even worked for Greg Medford for a time at the start of his career. Kind of got his feet wet over there. But here's the thing, Dan is a self-made guy. So working for someone or alongside someone else really does nothing but hold him back. So when he founded DSK Tactical, he struck out on his own. His creativity was set free. He was allowed to do whatever he wanted to do without anybody holding him back. And since then, he's created some extremely popular folders and fixed blades and has built a reputation for stout, hard-use knives, even in his smaller designs. I mean, the Diamondback is certainly not anywhere near as large as his kickstand model. That thing's a beast. But this thing, I don't care where you go with it, you feel like you've got something that's going to do anything that you throw at it. But Dan is a giant of a man, so most of his models are going to reflect who he is. Big, beefy, strong, made for larger hands. The VX-P, however, I feel is something that he designed very clearly for the masses. He made the handle smaller. He made the knife compact, but quick and easy to deploy. Even though you've got that big beefy blade, you're not holding on to something that's so big that it feels like it doesn't fit your hand properly. He did a fantastic job on designing this knife. He's done a great job, obviously, making his customs. And, you know, I have to give credit where credit is due. We Knife stepped up and did his work justice. You've got that 20 CV blade, so you know you've got something that's going to hold an edge for a very long time. It's going to take a razor sharp edge. It's great for corrosion resistance. 20 CV is really one of those great all-around high-end knife steels. And the way that they have manufactured this knife, again, really has done his hard work and his design justice. Now, a lot of people may not be into Wharncliffes or modified Wharncliffes as this is. Be on the lookout because soon you're going to be seeing new offerings from Dan. Again, as I mentioned, US made through EOS. So, but how can you not love that sound and see that monster blade flying out of that handle? I say give it a try, even if you've never had a Wharncliffe before. No, it's not as useful as, you know, say, a blade that has a nice radius to it, has a nice belly to it. You're still going to find yourself using the shit out of this. Also, the way it's shaped, great box cutter. Great way to cut down boxes, open up boxes, shit like that. Good for food prep, good for chopping. May run into some issues with the flipper tab coming down. Yeah, flipper tab comes down to the surface before the rest of the blade does. The tip does come down though. But either way, it's a good EDC style in my opinion for most people. It's not a stabbing knife. It's not used for a lot of different excuse me, types of cutting tasks. But for most people that own a wide variety of knives and different knife styles, this is certainly one to add to the collection. But again, if you're not a Wharncliffe kind of guy or gal, there is certainly going to be more options coming down the road in different models. So follow Dan at DSK Tactical, follow EOS, and keep an eye out for the stuff that's going to be coming out in the next year or two or three. I'm hoping we're going to have a blade show this year. I really, really, really hope we do. Who knows? God knows where this this funk is going to land us if we're going to be living like we are now. But hopefully we'll have a blade show again, and you'll all get a chance to meet Dan, see Dan at the show. And I'm going to assume, and it may not be true, but I'm going to assume he's going to be at the EOS booth. And you'll get a chance to talk to him about this knife, his custom knives, and the knives that he has coming out in the near future. Hopefully he'll have something maybe by that time to debut at that show. I'm not saying I know anything that you don't know. I'm just saying it would be a nice thing, because we all know, oh my God, the first blade show after lockdown, we all know how popular that's going to be. People that have never gone before are going to go. People that go every year are going to be going insane to go. So the turnout's going to be crazy. So I'm hoping he's going to have something brand new to show during that event. But either way, them's my thoughts on the VX-P. I've been carrying it quite a lot. Those of you that follow me on Instagram know this. I've been carrying it a lot. I've been using it a lot. I enjoy it. I think it's great. When I first saw it, I was really worried that it would be too heavy to be an EDC knife. And there are guys out there that when they think EDC knife, they wouldn't carry anything any larger or any heavier than a Sebenza. And I totally get that. If the Sebenza or a Spyderco PM2 is your benchmark for your limit, then this is not going to be for you. But for most everybody carrying a kind of standard titanium frame lock, up 3.5-inch knife, you're going to be wonderfully surprised at how lightweight this knife really is. And the damn thing nearly serves as brass knuckles, or as a not as brass knuckles. What did they used to? I'm trying to think of what it was. Anyways, it was a way to load your fist. It was something that you could put in your hand, and you could load up behind your fingers. This is almost good enough to do that. I don't know if I'd really want to punch somebody while holding that, but anyway, it does fill your hand. As I mentioned earlier, it is a fistful. That's for damn sure. So if you're looking for a if you're looking for a fistful of Dan, just place your order. Oh God, I'm gonna get hell for that one in PM later. Anyway, so them's my thoughts on the knife. I think it's fantastic. I love it. It's a great value. If you're typically shopping in that $400 to $450 price range, and you have a level of expectation for that price, you are going to be impressed with this. You are going to be happy with it, and you're going to feel like it was a good value. Anyway, guys, I'm out of here for now, and I'll catch you on the next video.